I decided I would get a real overhead view of the layout and the trains running. I don't think I've actually done a shot like this, partly because the left-hand side was really in a state of disrepair for a long time. But now that I've practically got most of that done, I thought it would be really cool to do an overhead shot showing all four locomotives running and pulling their cars, getting a real bird's eye view of the entire layout. Layouts come along. I still have some stuff that needs to get done, working on the river and the lake. About halfway done with that. I'm going to go into more detail about that at another time. And then I'll start to add some people and stuff. Luckily for me, not good for others, there was a hobby shop in town that had to shut its doors a few weeks ago, but on the last day it was open, everything in the place was 70% off or your best offer. I went down there, my brother and I had to wait in line to get in, but didn't do too badly. I got myself 13 more freight cars for $1.50 a piece. Yeah, they were old. They had the old horn hook couplers and etc. on them, but I spent time getting most of them. Still have a few to do. Putting on metal wheels, putting on Katy couplers, cutting off the horn hooks, getting them set up at the right height, and adding them to, mostly I added them to this locomotive you're going to see coming out of the far right tunnel right now. I added about 6 more freight cars to that. 3 coal cars, and then these 3 orange SF cars, Santa Fe freight cars, and a couple other cars in the back there. So it seems to be running well. But yeah, I thought this would be a good idea for everybody to see. Over here, you can see I added some buildings, narrow buildings, to serve up against the backdrop that'll soon be going there. These 2 here I got from a place here called Menards, for those of you not from the Midwest. They're kind of cool, lit up. This thing here, let me zoom in closer on it right now. This thing here in the center, I actually kit bashed that from a Walthers kit. The left-hand side is the back wall, the right-hand side is the front wall, and I joined them together. I put a bunch of extra pieces in the back to hold it together, but to give me a longer brick building that I could add to my layout here. This, I'm not sure where this came from. I got that from my brother, but I eventually want to add some outside lighting to this. I think that'll light that up and look pretty good. And then over here, you can see I started to add a backdrop. I have more backdrop to add in the coming weeks. Hope to get that finished. We'll have to see. It is the Christmas season coming up, and I really decorate a lot outside and inside my house. I'm actually redoing my entire village that I put up inside. Going to be swapping out all of those night lights that come with them, and putting in a lighting system using the Just Plug lighting system. So I don't have all those plugs that I gotta worry about plugging in. Now let's go take a quick walk over here to the riverbed. Not sure how well this is going to show up, but I put in a bunch of rock and fallen log dams along this thing to be able to hold back some of the scenic water, have little pools. I am going to be adding ripples coming down from each one, going over the rocks and down to the pool underneath it, until I get all the way over to here, where I will be putting in a waterfall. But you should be able to see that I've added water into here. I'm going to be putting a lot more in here because this thing is pretty deep, and I want to raise the overall height of the water up. But yeah, this should be pretty good. When I did this the first time, it looked like nothing but wet paint. With kind of what you see going on in this section right here. There's no depth to that. There's no detail to that. It just looks like, you know, wet paint. Didn't like that. Didn't like it at all. So that's why I did this. And for those of you who may be curious, I did not pour all of this at once. I poured a little bit at a time. I let it dry 2, 3, 4 days, come back and poured a little more. Gave it a chance to really settle in and give it some depth. I'm pretty much liking how it came out now. Not sure it shows up on the camera as well as you'd like it to, but I'm happy with the way it looks. See if I get down here. It makes a difference. But, you know, I was looking for realism, not just wet paint. I realized, you know, as we realize so much of this stuff after we're done, that was so much more steeper probably than it needed to be. But it is what it is. I'm just learned how to deal with it, so I'm happy with that. So, said, that's it. I just thought it would be, I haven't been on for a while because I've been so busy, but I thought I would just do a quick video here showing the layout, the progress on the layout, and pretty much, you know, what's going on. One other thing I want to note. I've been watching a lot of other people's videos, and I've, you know, stressed some reservations too about the Grand Valley. In particular, you know, this curve here that goes in and out over the lake bed and into that tunnel in the middle. I wish I would have straightened that out. The crossover, you know, being problematic. People think it has a lot to do with how they put the, you know, things together. I'm going to tell you, as you can see here, this has been running for a few minutes now. And everything's running smoothly. I do this a lot. I just let it run, let it go. Yeah, every once in a while, something goes wonky and I have to fix a car that derailed for who knows what reason. But it works pretty well. But the point I want to make is, on this layout, these are all 18-inch radius curves. Nothing on here is 22. They're all 18-inch. And people are saying, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Well, it's working for me. So I don't know exactly what it is, except I took a lot of time when I put in the risers, the inclines and the declines, testing, retesting over and over again along each step of the way before I did anything with any scenery, the tunnels, the tunnel covers, anything. I didn't follow the directions exactly as they are in the booklet that comes with the Grand Valley, because it just didn't seem right to me to just take in blind faith that everything was going to work. Like I said, I laid out my track, no risers, no inclines, declines, nothing, and just made sure everything fit real well. I ran a train around on it, fixed spots here and there, made sure everything was good. Then I lifted the track up in big sections, put in the risers, put the track back down, did the same thing, made sure everything was good. Then I lifted the track up in the areas where the inclines and declines needed to go, pinned those in place, put the track back down, did the same thing. Put the track down, tested it, ran it for a few hours here and there, smoothing out any areas, making sure everything was going to be good. And then once I glued the track down, I did the same thing. I ran the trains on the track. I worked them until basically everything was good. And by working it, I mean maybe having to lift spots, maybe having to sand stuff down a little bit to smooth things out, especially in the transitions. I even went so far as if there was just even a slight little bit of difference between the height of the tracks where they met in each joint, I would go there with a file and just gently file down the high spot to really smooth things out. Is it perfect? I don't know. It's perfect. People will tell you should never have to file your track, but I did. And the result is I get trains that just run. And this is what I wanted. I wanted to have trains just run, sit here and watch, be enjoyable. When people come over, want to check it out, I'm not having to run over, fumble, trying to fix something, making excuses. I'll come down here some nights and I won't do anything else. I'll just start the trains up, let them run. So I'm basically, I'm not criticizing, trust me, what anybody else did. Not in any way, shape, or form. We all been through this. We learn from our mistakes. Just so you know, I've had 2 layouts in the past. One when I was a teenager, and then another one, about 25 years ago. And I learned my lessons from that. And I carried that into when I did this. So, like I said, I'm not criticizing what anybody did. It's a learning process. And you learn from I don't want to call them mistakes, but from the imperfections that happen here and there. And you learn how to fix them and go forward and take care of it. I'm bringing this up mainly for anybody who's watching this, and I've had a few people reach out to me about what I did and how I did it lately. I'm helping a few people offline, off of YouTube, with them and their layouts. So I'm just bringing this up for anybody out there who may get this for Christmas, because the holiday season's coming up, or you're going to get trains and they just go round and around in a circle and you want to do something more with it. That's what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to give some ideas to those of you who really want to get into this hobby and have some fun. I wish more people would get into it. It's a great thing to do. Building things with your hands, seeing the results and the fruits of your labor. It's rewarding. It's really cool. So anything I can do to help anybody who may be getting a set for Christmas or who really wants to expand what they're having, that's all I'm trying to do here. Giving a shout out to those of you who may be interested in what's you're seeing here, and what you might want to do going forward.